Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope we're all feeling bright-eyed and bushy-tailed after a free breakfast and a late night. This is a session with the wonderful Ben Frow. It's been a year of firsts performance-wise for Channel 5. For producers, it sounds like good news, of course, with Viacom talking about an increased investment in content. But what next for Channel 5, and what next for the one-time Ferrari-owning controller Ben Frow? We'll talk a little bit more about the Ferrari later on. He said to us, he's been very honest, he's unsure as to whether he'll even be in a job at Channel 5 in the next 3 months. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on as well. So it could be a very interesting session. Ben, thank you so much for joining us. What would you say is your assessment of the last 12 months at 5?
I think we've had a really good 12 months. I think we've done what we set out to do when I first joined the channel about a year and a half ago. Bring diversity to the schedule, establish new returning shows that can punch above their weight, rattle some cages, make some noise, do some more event pieces. I think we rejuvenated Big Brother last summer by branding it, making Emma the main presenter. I think we've had a really good 12 months and a very interesting 12 months. It hasn't all been successful.
No.
You know, we've learned some harsh lessons, but we have tried to evolve the channel and make the channel broader and bigger. And so far,
you've achieved that?
Yes, I do think we've achieved it. I think we're still on target this year for my target this year, up against this nightmare summer of sport, which is just, you know, it's a controller's hell, was to have a good spring, survive the summer, and then claw back what little we need to do in the autumn. So my aim for this year is to hold share and grow 1634s and ABC Ones, and I'm on course to still do that.
That's fabulous. It's interesting that you talk about figures, actually, because in relation to Channel 4, you've said before, it's not about beating them, it's about making Channel 5 as good as it can be. But Jay Hunt claimed last year that you were fiddling figures when it came to Channel 5. So did beating Channel 4 this year mean more to you as a result of the things that she said last year?
You know what, I'm beating Channel 4. I don't do figures. I have a brilliant team of people who do figures.
To do that for
well,
you,
no,
though.
there are people who know figures, and Barb give those same figures out to everybody, and I think clearly people can look at figures in different ways. But the figures have told me that probably once a week, twice a week, quite a few times in the last week, we've beaten Channel 4.
Does that make you
no,
feel with
it doesn't.
glow
It
now?
actually doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter. The only thing I really care about is the viewer. The only thing I really care about is growing Channel 5. But I do think that if you are in a competitive environment and with a changing world like we've got, and you know, the fragmentation of channels and all the choices out there, it would be naive to just sort of say, oh, I'm just going to sort of try and maintain share. I want to grow the channel.
Yeah.
I took the job because I thought, actually, Jeff Ford had done a really good job of bringing some stability to the channel. It was in a good place, a little boring in my opinion, a little samey in my opinion, but I thought, you know, we can really build on this. And with my incredibly small team, you know, 5 commissioners, you've got to remember 5 commissioners is all we have, working very closely with scheduling and the research department and acquisitions, we set out to grow the channel, and I think that we are on course to grow the channel.
You've said that you'll do anything for ratings and to grow the channel. Do you feel that you've also done that?
Sorry, do I think what?
Do you also think that you've done that you've done, and you'll do anything for those ratings? Do you feel like that you've done that?
Yeah, I think in my Channel 4 features days, where it was an incredibly successful time, I was probably slightly more cocky then, saying, you know, I'll do anything for a bum on a seat. I think when you're running a channel, I think you have responsibilities to that channel. You can't just do what you like. I have a budget of 200 million. I have to spend it very carefully. I do believe in evolving. I do believe in trying new things. I do believe in taking risks. Yeah. And commissioning programs that I think are outside the natural comfort zone of the channel, but they have to be calculated risks for us because we have somewhat more limitations than other people. And at the end of the day, my only responsibility is not to Richard Desmond or to Viacom, in my opinion. My responsibility is to the viewer. And I have to keep track of giving the viewer what I believe the viewer will like, what the viewer wants more of, what the viewer will find rewarding, because I think if I'm just pleasing the viewers and the viewers come to the channel and they stay with the channel and they like how the channel's evolving, I am actually pleasing the Viacoms or the Richard Desmonds of this world and giving the advertisers what they want and the sales team what they need in order to, you know, keep the money coming in. But I think if I try and please a load of individuals and worry about Channel 4 or ITV, whatever it is, only, it would be negative. Having said that, we are competitive, you know? It's dog eat dog out there. You want to do the best work possible.
Well, during Jay Hunt's session yesterday, she said there's clear blue water between you, and she's less worried than ever about your channel.
Great. So she won't be scheduling any benefits debates opposite my immigration debate in future.
Well, yeah, and we will be talking about that as well, because that was a big issue for you.
Yeah, it pissed me off big
this
time.
year.
Yeah, it did piss me off, yeah.
You know, because, you know, with a lot of people, when it comes to Channel 5, there's always been that perception of it's the underdog.
Yeah, it is the underdog.
But is that still true?
Well, it's the underdog in that it has less than anybody else has.
Yeah, but people are still coming to
But it's all about ideas. It's all about creativity. It's all about, you know, working with what you've got. It's all about focus. It's all about, I mean, you know, myself and the commissioners work very closely together. I share all information. We all sit in rooms together with the schedulers as well. And we go, you know, we could do this, we could do that. What would work best? What would play best with what? What would work best around Big Brother? How do we stop Big Brother falling off a cliff? What could we do in the autumn? But we are the underdog in that when you do that weekly final exchange, and for me it's on a Tuesday afternoon where I see what BBC are doing, and BBC 2 and ITV, Channel 4, whatever, in 10 days' time, we are the ones who have to move. You know, we have to just go, oh my God, Bake Off's in at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday. Shit, we'll never be able, that programme will never work. We'll have to move it out. Oh, yeah. Damn it, Channel 4 have brought back in educating. We can't do that. You know, we are the underdog, and we have to move in order to try and protect our programmes and I think also provide the viewer with an alternative to what everybody else is doing. There's a sort of gentleman's agreement out there, in my opinion, sometimes broken, which is that the channel should generally try and schedule to an alternative audience. So if the BBC are going young and female and BBC 2 is going old and upmarket, you know, we go, who's left? Yeah. Who can we cater to that's left? Because there's no point in just trying to take an audience and cut it in half. The only person that's going to lose is the viewer.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So we're competitive, but not obsessed.
Okay, competitive, not obsessed. Ish. Okay, now, you guys are aware of the app. I hope that because you were all here yesterday that you'll understand how the app works. If you haven't, it'd be great if you could download it, because not only can you put questions to Ben, but actually we've got a little bit of a challenge for you today. Ben is notorious for signing on for shows simply on the strength of its title. If it's got a really punchy title, he'll give it a go. So what we're going to do is we want you to send your one-liners to the app with your programme ideas. So it could be just a one-line about what the programme will be about, or simply a really punchy title for a programme that you want to get made. So we'd like you, throughout the course of this session, to send those to the app, because Ben has agreed, if he does like one of them, he will meet you at Channel 5 HQ. Yeah? He will.
If you can get a meeting.
Yeah. He has promised a face-to-face, and if you don't get a face-to-face, I'll sort you out.
I have a lot of face-to-faces.
Yeah, so make sure you do send those one-liners and those questions to the app. I'll keep across them here, and Ben can choose his favourites, and you can set up a one-to-one with him. All right, let's talk about...
Or you could just ring up my assistants and say, can I have a meeting with Ben at some point, and you will have having a meeting.
Oh, that's the fun way of doing it, Ben. Don't ruin it.
No.
All right, let's go back to the year in review. What show would you say you are the most proud of in the last 12 months?
Flipping hell, I don't know. I'm actually pleased with I'm pleased with... I can't do one. I'm pleased with...
but a channel-defining...
a channel-defining show. OK, we're going to clip things now.
Yeah.
OK, so we were asked to give four different clips. So if I talk about clips, the channel-defining clip, I think, for us, is the Big Benefits Row Live. And I'll tell you why, because we are opportunistic. I think when you're small, you have to be opportunistic. And the story behind this is very simple. We had done On Benefits and Proud last autumn, which is a big rating. It was our most successful documentary of 2013. And obviously Benefit Street came along, and everyone's talking about Benefit Street. And we're going, oh, hang on a minute, what about us? We were there first, kind of thing. And we're, of course, working out when is this series ever going to end, because it's killing us on a Monday night, and, you know, Jesus God. And Craig, who oversees all the scheduling, was kind of going, oh, well, I think it's good. And then they're going to do a debate. Well, we're looking at the final exchange, and there is no Benefit Street, and there is no debate. And Craig said, shall we do a debate? And I said, do you think we can turn around a debate in 10 days?
Well,
so we turned around
before we carry on,
the debate.
Let's take a look at the clip,
Okay.
and then you can do more of an explainer afterwards, if that's all right. Let's take a look.
Loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, and people were talking about it.
And people were rated through the roof. You know, we were first with the debate. It was, you know, part of that sort of event television I talked about.
So do you think Jay Hunt missed a trick there by
No.
not being first?
No. I'm not saying anybody missed a trick. All I'm saying is that we were opportunistic. We saw a gap, and we just said, you know what? If we're really quick, we could get in there. We jumped in there. You know, is that playing fair? I don't know. Yes, I think it probably is playing fair. And I think it says a lot about Channel 5. You know, you're working with people who I'm a great believer in working with people who are good at their jobs and let them get on with their jobs. Yeah. You know, I work with 5 commissioners. One of them picks up, okay, should we do a debate? They pick up the phone. Can you turn us around a debate? Let's just do a debate. I mean, we make the decision that quickly. And
it's notable because not that many TV networks actually do that in that quick turnaround. Do you know what? We're going to do a debate. We're going to hire some studios, and we're just going to do it.
You know, we did the missing plane, the Malaysian plane. We turned that around for live on a Friday night in 48 hours. We didn't turn it around. ITN turned it around. You know, I like kind of flying by the seat of our pants. You know, that's a risk. It's on a Friday night. You're trying to make that judgment about whether it has actually connected with the viewers. Is it a big enough story? Are we really talking about it? Is it going to work for us? We did Oscar Pistorius last year, and it worked well. Funnily enough, when the trail came on, and so, you know, should we redo Oscar Pistorius again? I said, you know what, it's not catching fire, Oscar Pistorius. But the Ohio slave girls caught fire, and the Philpotts caught fire, excuse the terrible pun there. And I do like being able to turn around quick pieces that make the schedule feel alive and vibrant and surprising.
Yeah,
and
but
current.
We'll go back to the Jay Hunt issue regarding...
Are we ever going to talk about anything but Jay Hunt?
No. Don't worry, I've got lots of non-Jay Hunt questions. Don't worry about that. But it's only because you brought up, you know, you said that you were pissed off because of what happened. So we have to elaborate on that because, you know, Jay scheduled the Channel 4's benefits debate against your immigration row. Yeah. And surely that goes against what you were talking about with the gentleman's agreement.
I just think it's unfair on the viewer. I think the only person to really lose out on that was the viewer, because you're playing two, essentially, of the same programme, albeit on different subjects, up against each other. And the only person who is actually really compromised is the viewer, who has to make a choice about which one to watch. I just think that's not really playing fair, and I don't think it's fair on the viewer. And for me, the viewer counts. And,
you know, what is your assessment then of that channel? Or do you watch
Channel 4?
Yeah.
I think, look, Channel 4 is a really important channel to me. I really started off my TV career at Channel 4. I think it does a lot of fantastic programmes. It has 2 programmes I'm so jealous of, I can't even watch them. I can't watch The Island and I can't watch Gogglebox. And I can't watch them even though I love them, because every time I watch them, I just feel like a knife in my heart. So, you know, I don't want to go around bashing. There's no point in bashing Channel 4. We've all got different roles to play. They have a very different kind of audience to us. I don't think there's that much crossover between the two, actually. I think we cater quite differently to our audiences.
What about campaigns like their Born Risky campaign?
Well, I understand that that's been clarified as to what is the risky bit. Frankly, I think that any programme that's new is a risk. I'm sure that BBC would say that, you know, Tumble is risky. We're all trying new things. Anything that moves our audience out of its natural comfort zone or challenges them is risky. So I think we're all born risky, aren't we? Yeah. I think Channel 5 is as risky as anybody else.
Yeah.
So I just don't bang on about it.
The thing is that you know, you're risky in the way that you make decisions as well about the channel, because the next show we're going to watch a clip of, you commissioned without a script, a pilot or a treatment. So let's take a look at Suspects. Yeah. Very emotive clip, Ben. The Telegraph called it absorbing and smart TV, and The Guardian gave the new series a great write-up last week. It's not a typical review talking about absorbing and smart TV. It's not a typical review for one of your shows. Why did you make the decision to do this?
Well, it was a risk, and I'll tell you how it came...
You're not banging on about risks, though.
No, but it was a risk, like everything is a risk. And it came about because I think as a PSB, we should be doing comedy, and we should be doing drama, and we should be doing a whole range of programmes that... I just feel instinctively it's part of our responsibility as one of the big 5. And I had a meeting and met Paul Marquis, who talked about doing drama for a lower cost than would, you know, might be normal, and I was very interested in that, of course, because I'm a bit limited money-wise. And you know what, it came about so quickly. We had 2 meetings with Paul, myself and Greg Barnett, who was the commissioner. We had 2 meetings. We decided we'd do a police procedural. He decided, Paul Marquis decided that it would be essentially improvised. very tightly storylined by the writers, but that they would essentially improvise it. I know nothing about drama. I only did one brief drama when I was in Ireland about 3 years ago. You know, let people do their jobs brilliantly. I said, Paul, I only ask one thing. I just don't want it to look like shit. That was the only brief I gave him, because for the cost it was coming in at, and, you know, my sister's an actress, and, you know, I think improvisation could be really eggy. I mean, really, like, mortifyingly embarrassing. And I just didn't want to sit there looking at it going, oh, my God, this is cringe-making. That was my brief.
And it worked.
It's the best reviews of any programme I've done in my whole life.
Incredible. However, I would say it probably didn't get the viewer figures that you would like.
No.
And why do you think that didn't happen?
I think it's very different for Channel 5. Okay. I mean, although it's a police procedural, and it ticked all the boxes in kind of that logical commission. You know, it was police procedural, it was standalone hours, we were going to schedule it around NCIS and everything. Actually, I think it's probably it's a bit of a leap forward for our viewers, especially the drama viewers who tend to be a bit more traditional. It's done better since we played it around Celebrity Big Brother. It's a younger audience, which I think has helped it. But you know what? Not every piece is about ratings. You know, we are a commercial channel, and I do care about ratings, and we do fight for ratings. But we have pieces in our schedule. Recently, we did Through the Eyes of a Child. And we have some more of those episodes coming up, which is it was looking at home carers, and we're doing alcoholism and divorce, as experienced and told by children under the age of 12. That's not a ratings winner. That's a really important profile piece for me. Suspects is a reputation piece.
Which is why you decided to bring it back in that case.
Yeah, and I think you want to balance ratings, revenue, and reputation is important. And some of the pieces that we've got coming through in the next 6 months or so, I would say are much more reputation pieces than rating pieces, but they're equally important in terms of the bigger picture.
And so will you take on more experimental drama then in the future?
Potentially, but we've got Gotham now, and we've got the new stuff coming through from LA, so I think I'm all right for drama, probably.
Okay.
I really want to, though, work on other genres. I think comedy is an interesting one that we need to get our teeth into next, with the Viacom relationship and the relationship with Comedy Central. I think that's going to look very promising in the next year and a half or so.
So would you take on comedy ideas for Channel 5?
Well, I would do it, but I would do it very much in conjunction with Jill at Comedy Central and the team at Comedy Central. You know, they know comedy. I understand it was talked about yesterday by Steve Regan that, you know, we have had discussions about potentially programmes that can play on Channel 5 and MTV, Channel 5, Comedy Central. You know, we're all going to be one family, which I think is absolutely right. I love the fact that Channel 5 should keep evolving and trying new things.
Absolutely.
We keep trying entertainment. It keeps failing. But that doesn't mean to say that we won't try it again next year.
Okay, good. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit more detail about the Viacom sale and everything a little bit later on. But now I want to play your third clip, which is a What Was I Thinking moment.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the show Stand By Your Man. Let's hear it.
I actually think the title, you know, the "What were you thinking" moment is a really is not a great idea, because actually what I was thinking was maybe we can finally crack entertainment, but it implies that it was like I'd had this moment of madness and we just decided to go crazy. I mean, it was an entertainment show. Again, a bit like Suspects. You know, it was skewed young. It was going to play around Big Brother. It was Friday night. It had Brian McFadden in it. It was made by ITV Studios. You know, you can tick a lot of logical boxes.
Yeah.
I quite liked it.
Did you? I mean,
I did quite like it.
I mean, the Mirror said it was a dating show that dispenses with foreplay and goes straight for Rehypnol. It's an interesting line.
And I didn't read that review. In fact, I don't think I'd read any reviews. You know, but it was never exactly going to get me, you know, a lot of... It wasn't about reputation. It was about keeping a young audience on a Friday night and seeing, again, if we can do entertainment. And it's like, I think if you look at Channel 5's history, it has struggled all the time to do entertainment. Last year we did Celebrity Beauty School. That was a disaster. It wasn't a disaster, but it didn't rate that well. Richard hated that show. He said it was shit. Shit. It's shit, that show. I, of course, had to show him. It was skewed very young and female. Hated that show. And then, you look at things like Don't Stop Believing, and you look at, and I did, when I was last at Channel 5, we did the All-Star Talent Show, which was way before Britain's... Entertainment on Channel 5 has never really worked
But
apart
Big
from the very
Brother.
early, and then you have Big Brother.
Yeah, Big Brother.
One of the challenges for Channel 5 is creating brands from scratch, which is why we do concentrate on factual entertainment. It works for us. We can punch through with it. We can have Nightmare Neighbours Next Door, which actually can get us 1.5 million up against the Bake Off, which is like, oh my God, thankfully something works against a juggernaut like that. We know where our strengths are, but that doesn't mean to say that we shouldn't. And that we don't dip our toe into the water. I will do entertainment next year. I've got to keep trying it because one day the channel will shift and Channel 5 has to keep growing and we have to keep evolving and we have to keep taking risks and trying new things so that I think even if you look at the channel, how it looks now compared to how it looked a year and a half ago, I think we've come a very long way in terms of the diversity of the schedule, what we play, the noise we make, the one-off pop docs that weren't really being done before.
Are you worried, though, that obviously Big Brother does well for you? Are you worried about becoming too reliant on Big Brother? But the 2014 ratings, they've not been as high as previous years.
Yeah,
I mean, they've been 400,000. Are you worried that as viewers we may get bored of the genre? No?
No. Well, Celebrity Big Brother's up on January and up on last summer.
Always does really well.
I don't want to be reliant on Big Brother. It's actually, we knew this summer was going to be tough. We were up against all that sport. It actually has done remarkably well, I think. And it was a challenging year. I'm not sure we got the casting right this year in many ways. But when I looked at our ratings report for, I think it was last week or the week before, Big Brother was the 4th most popular programme. Okay. That's how I won it. Okay. I don't want Big Brother to be number one. Yeah. Benefits Britain does 2.5 million. It does twice the ratings of Big Brother and twice the young audience of Big Brother. And that's a homegrown programme. Autopsy can do better than Big Brother and skew younger. I always said Big Brother's a very important piece for us, and I love Big Brother, and it's a great, lovely, sort of flexible piece that you can play in various different ways. Yeah. But if you are over-reliant on Big Brother, when it does fall down, and one day it will decline further, the whole lot falls down around with it.
So you're going to
what I want to do is create,
of
course,
you are.
But what I want to do is have shows that I can play throughout the year that do as well, if not better, than Big Brother. And those are the shows that we're creating at the moment with things like Benefits Britain.
And of course, when it comes to Viacom, you'll be able to hopefully create lots more within that Viacom family. So it could work out quite well for Channel 5. And you were instrumental within that sale. This year was for reported £450 million.
So I understand.
Is that the most money you've ever made someone else?
Yeah, and not got a penny off, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Hardly fair.
Yeah. But it was a team effort. There was a few of us out there selling our wares. It was a very interesting experience, I have to say. We met some fantastic people.
Yeah.
It was really it was actually quite a buzzy time. Quite nerve-wracking going out there. You didn't want to say or do the wrong thing. Very I'd never been through that kind of process before. It was very interesting.
So what was it like working under Desmond?
Exhilarating.
Really?
Yeah, exhilarating in a kind of mad way. He's an incredible man.
Yeah,
he's
fiery temper.
Yeah. No, I never saw the temper. I never saw the temper.
Really?
He only ever once sort of really turned on me, and it wasn't in temper. He's passionate. He's driven. He's ambitious. He's intolerant. He's impatient. He's energized. I have a lot of things that I think a lot of traits that I think are similar to Desmond.
Yeah.
I am impatient too, and I am intolerant too, and I am driven, and I am ambitious. For the channel, and I love that ambition. Yes, there's madness in there. There was sort of hysterical eccentricity. Linda, who does our audience sort of viewer insight, we used to have to go up and do a board meeting every Friday morning, which took about 2.5 hours. And it was just kind of mad. I mean, it was just, we'd have to talk about the ratings, but basically you just sat and listened to Richard, just telling incredible stories. And I don't know, there was some madness going on, some deal had fallen through or not fallen through, and it was it was really interesting. It was only when we sold the channel and sort of that sort of interaction fell away, that daily interaction fell away, that I sort of came down from wherever I was and went, my God, actually, I don't know how I did it. But I think what Richard did was make me perform at an incredibly high level all the time, because you didn't know when the email was going to come, or the phone call, or the meeting, or the walk into the office. And that keeps you performing at an incredibly alert level all the time. There is no room for just sitting back and just letting it be, because you just don't know when you're going to have to be answerable. Yeah. And, the only argument we have was when he said, you do watch all the television, don't you? I said, no, I don't. He said, what, you mean you don't watch all the hours of television? Well, it's 14 hours of television a day. I can't. Well, he said, I could. It's like, oh, okay then.
But he was also a very generous boss in some ways.
He's a motivational boss.
Yeah, so Ferrari for targets. It's not something that usually happens in the broadcast industry.
No, that was a great week.
Yeah, I want you to tell us about exactly what happened. And whilst you're telling us, we'll actually have a picture of your
Okay, yeah, that's me in the showroom at JRO and ORJ, whatever it's called, in Old Brompton Road. What happened was that we were in a board meeting, Friday morning, whatever it was. He says, do you think that you could beat Channel 4 on that week? And I said, oh my God, that's like 10 days away. He said, yeah, if you can beat Channel 4 that week, I'll buy you a Ferrari. So I went down and I said to the Craig, the show, I said, okay, Richard says, he's going to buy me a Ferrari. Can we beat Channel 4? And it was, you know what was amazing about that week? That was with Harriet, we had 3 days between the Friday and going to listings to pull together a whole week. We threw everything out. I think the commissioners commissioned 5 new hours of television. We did Catching Criminals Live. We did the Fred West Diaries. We did a special edition of Nightmare Neighbours Next Door and Can't Pay Will Take It Away. I mean, it was the promo team put together. We decided to brand it Law and Disorder Week. Every single person across the channel raised their game and went, yeah, can we do this? Richard's asked us to do it. Let's try and do it. And the Monday ratings came in. I was on holiday, and Richard said, this is looking more like a Skoda than a Ferrari. And then the Tuesday ratings came in and said, oh, vroom, vroom, don't take your foot on the pedal. Anyway. So anyway, we got through the week, and on the Monday morning, Linda, who does the ratings, official figures and everything, we hadn't beaten Channel 4. So that was fine. And then at 11 o'clock, she said, hang on a minute. If you take out plus 24, and if you take out plus 1, and if you look at just pure Channel 4, I think it's all adults, versus pure Channel 5, all adults, we beat them by 0.1%. Yes! And I said, well, look, I did say to Richard he'd never given me any criteria, so let's just give Richard the figures. And he came down and he said, what colour Ferrari do you want? Anyway, I went to the showroom and sat in a Ferrari. And then I started thinking about the practicalities of a Ferrari.
It's expensive to insure for a start.
It's expensive to pay tax, and I understand as well, somebody did tell me. And I don't drive. I do drive, but I don't need to drive in London. And then, you know what? Actually, somebody said something to me, and I thought, you know what, this could be very divisive for the team. And I am a really big team player, and I really care about my team. And I thought, you know what? There are too many negatives to this, really. So I said, look, thank you very much, but actually I'm not going to take the Ferrari. Yeah. And I think it was the best decision I ever made. I haven't missed the Ferrari. It was a great...
Is that a lovely moment, though, sitting in it?
Well, I'm not really a Ferrari person.
OK.
I mean, I'm just not... it's just not my kind of... It's quite low. I'm 53 now. It's like getting down and all that. But you know what? I loved the madness of that. I loved the motivation of that. I loved the way everyone pulled together. And it was funny. I walked into my office and the walls were plastered with photographs of Ferraris that Richard had sent down. And I think it was just a funny... You know what? I love those kind of times when everyone pulls together and you just sort of do something a little bit crazy. But I'm glad I didn't take ownership of the Ferrari.
But then it's two huge extremes, isn't it? So you've got someone who's giving you a Ferrari for doing incredibly well at your job, but you've also got someone who counts the biscuits in board meetings as well as a barometer of, how hard
Richard's not a stupid man. Yeah. He is a very, very clever, successful man. And I think what he achieved with Channel 5, he deserves a lot of credit for. He and his team, Paul, who I reported to, made it a very lean, maybe too lean sometimes, efficient fighting machine that has been incredibly successful and is certainly punching above its weight over the last few years. Yeah. And that's not from somebody who's just sort of, let's all just be creative. I quite like elements of that. I'm not saying I wouldn't like, a little bit more money or a little bit of a bigger team or X, Y, and Z, but I take my hat off to Richard, and I wouldn't like to say this because actually you might take me up on it, but I'd almost paid to have had the experience that I had for those 14 months because it was a life-changing experience, and working with someone like Richard is unlike anything else I've ever done in my life. I actually really enjoyed it, bonkers though it was.
And the bonkersness extended to even during the sale, didn't it? Because I mentioned it just now, but the whole biscuit situation, and he judged. You tell the story of what happened with the biscuits.
Well, I understand that. I understand. We'd have meetings in the boardroom, and the success of the meeting was decided about how many biscuits had been eaten during the meeting, which is a really interesting way of judging how people are interacting with each other and, what sort of questions are being asked and how well we've performed. And I kind of like that. I do remember giving Stuart Murphy, when he was in pitching, a special plate of biscuits of his own because he was chomping them down. really chomping them down, yeah.
Brilliant. I mean, bosses all over going, that's a great idea.
Free biscuits for Stuart.
And so when Viacom was, when this was all going through with Viacom and Viacom decided, yes, they did want to buy it, what sort of changes did they bring in, if any, thus far?
I have no idea.
Thus far?
We've had some meetings with them. They seem incredibly nice people. I think it looks very positive for moving forward. The deal hasn't been completed yet. It doesn't go through till September.
But I'd heard that they brought in a water cooler and stuff.
Oh, well, we have a first aid box now on the wall, and we have a water cooler, which is, we're like kids at Christmas, which is very exciting. They're very, it's a very different organisation. They're an American corporate organisation, incredibly nicely spoken. You know what? We've had a few. Actually, the most important thing about the Viacom thing, which I think is most interesting, is how open and up for collaboration everybody is. We've had a few meetings with people. There's been no defensiveness, no territorialness. There are people there who've run their channels under the Viacom umbrella, very successfully so. Big Channel 5 comes in, and, we may not be big to some people, but we are certainly big compared to some of those channels. And everybody is up for growing. Everybody is up for sharing content.
Yeah.
Everybody is up for...
What would you like to share? So, for instance, a show that might maybe on MTV or something.
I don't know. I think it's something that needs to be... I think there's some stuff that can naturally play on other channels that we've done in the past, some of our sort of funnier, younger skiing pieces. I think going forward, we are very different channels. They all work in their own way, and I think we have to be quite careful about what we do that will not compromise Channel 5 or not compromise MTV or not compromise Comedy Central. It will be very interesting, but the enthusiasm is there, and it's really just a question of putting people with creative minds in a room together and going, would we go this way, would we go that way, would that work, could that work, should we do this?
It's a difficult situation for you, though, isn't it? Because you're excited about this collaboration and working possibly with all these wonderful channels, but your contract hasn't been renewed to date, so there's a good chance that you may
I have a rolling contract.
A rolling contract.
Oh, yeah, I have a rolling contract, and I'm very, very excited about working with Viacom.
Yeah, so you're not tempted to go elsewhere?
No.
In that case?
No.
Not at all?
I think Channel 5, the year and a half we've done at Channel 5 is, my God, if we could do what we've done in the last year and a half again in the next year and a half, imagine where we'd be. That's true.
I mean, there are a lot of jobs up at the moment that you could probably be quite good at. So I know that there's a vacancy. There's a vacancy at the Discovery Channel. Would you consider making a move to a broadcaster such as Discovery?
That's a very different. I quite like owning the train set.
Ah.
I like having a say in the schedule. I like having a say in the promos. I think that one of the things about making programmes, it's great to make a programme, but actually, how are you then going to sell that programme? And it's, you can have the best programme in the world, but if you sell it wrong, as happened last night, in my opinion, you don't get the audience that you should necessarily have. And I think scheduling, promotion, content, they all play together. I think I'd find it quite hard to I find it quite hard to walk away from that kind of overall coming together and vision.
Okay, we'll see in the future. If you do end up taking a job at Discovery, I should bet on it, really, shouldn't I, just in case?
I hope I'll be sitting here next year talking about Channel 5.
And we can do it all over again.
Yeah, and we'll be talking less about Jay and more about how good we are.
We've had some... we've spoken about how wonderful you are, really. It's all about you, Ben. We've had some wonderful suggestions come up on the app in terms of possible show ideas. So I'm going to chuck them at you, and you can say yay or nay. Benefit brides.
Yeah, I'm not doing any more benefit shows because we have Benefits Britain, and I think what's amazing about Benefits Britain is that it's able to, with that kind of brief, look at all different aspects of benefits, whether it's people who are forced onto benefits, people who have no option but to be on benefits, people who are abusing benefits. So that's my benefit show, and I think that we're just going to leave it at that.
So you won't want the other title here then, that's Benefits the Musical, Benefit Street the Musical? No, you won't want that either?
Oh, that's a Channel 4 show, surely, Benefit Street.
We've got Sun, Sea and Suspicious Rashes, yes or no?
Is that a medical show?
I've got no idea. They're just throwing this to me. Okay. We've got Celebrity Stalkers, yay or nay?
Yeah, well, actually, stalking, yeah.
Michael Bublé's Christmas Baubles.
We love Michael Bublé, we love Michael Bublé, but we tend to buy his latest concert and play it over Christmas.
Oh, I quite like this one that's coming, actually. UKIP's on the Block.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah. Who did that?
Not sure what it
one?
means.
Ah, you see, I quite like that. I like that
Well,
suggestion.
you know, UKIP, you can't really resist, can you? And it's like a gift from God.
Well, it is.
It's just.
All right, let's look at the year ahead. How would you describe your slate at the moment? Is it looking healthy for the next 12 months? What sort of shows are you excited about, new shows that you potentially have coming up?
Oh, this is where my mind goes completely blank. Well, I think we have a really good range. We have 100% British, which is about multiculturalism in Manchester. We have things like The Plantagenets, Britain's Bloodiest Dynasty, which has been made by In-House. I have to say the reconstructions are mind-blowing. Larry Lamb is doing a series for us on Rome. Alex Blitz is travelling and revealing her secret Italy. We have probably my favourite upcoming programme is Special Needs Hotel.
Yes, we're going to run a clip of that a bit later on, yeah.
You know, I actually think it's one of those ones that I love more and more and more when I think about it. And, you know, it's nice when Michelle came in and pitched it, you know, we go through with the commissioners, we go through their slate of programmes or a list of ideas every other week. 20 ideas, and I didn't like any of her ideas. And I was going, no, I don't like that one, I'm not sure about that one, and whatever it is. She said, oh, you won't like this one. And I went, oh, I love that one, I love that one. And that's where the commissioners are really good, because the commissioners keep me thinking outside the box. They and I have a lot of discussion about where my instinct might be, I'm not really sure it's us, and I love to play with them the positioning game, where you take a subject, whether it's the Plantagenets, call it Britain's Bloodiest Dynasty, and it feels very different, putting Larry Lamb onto Rome. Should we do Rome? Why would we do Rome? Very Channel 5. How do we do it in a Channel 5 way? How do we keep it broad and populist, because that's what we are, not too wanky.
So it's like tabloid with intellect, which is what...
Yeah, I really think that's what you have to be grabby for the viewer, but then you've got to reward the viewer, you've got to give them intelligence, and I love taking a programme idea that they might be very passionate on, and then just finding the way to reposition it so that I'm comfortable with it for our channel and for our schedule. And I think when we look at some of the things that we've got coming through, they are not the kind of things that I would have done in the past. No. So the commissioners really helped me keep broad, keep wide thinking. I always worry that if I'm just allowed to do whatever I want to do all the time, it'll get narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower, and then we just end up becoming a sort of one-stop shop of the same old kind of stuff.
Because as you talk about breadth, you know, you have shows with titles such as Can't Pay, Will Take It Away, Shoplifters and Proud, When Gastric Bans Go Wrong. So you have those sorts of shows as well as sort of having the tabloid with intellect type shows as well. So is it important?
Yeah, but I think that they all, I mean, you know, they've got grabby titles because, you know, I'm obsessed by titles, because you've got to, in the title, you've got to tell people what they're going to get. You've got to try and convince people that they're going to like it. You've got to make it stand out from the crowd. So the titles are really important, but then you want them to watch and go, you know what, this is a, you know, age gap love. He's 78, she's 39 or whatever it was. I really loved that programme. I laughed in it, or I cried in it, or I had no idea that the bailiffs had such heart and could be such understanding people, or I've got a new insight into something. But you don't want to tell them that by the way, you're going to watch this programme and you're going to get a whole new insight into it. You know, that's going to put people off it. So, you know, it's television. We work in the entertainment industry, and even if it's current affairs, it's got to be entertaining. Or news, it's got to be entertaining, otherwise people will just turn off. So we do work hard on the titles. Punching through is really important for us. But if you don't reward the viewer and you don't make good content, they won't come back. And once you've lost a viewer, very hard.
What would you say is a typical Channel 5 viewer? And is that going to change under Viacom, do you think? It's going to become more youth-skewed?
I think they would like Channel 5 to grow youngs. Understandably, everybody wants their channel to grow youngs because they're so desirable for the advertisers. So far this year we are growing youngs, which is really good, and that's even with a slightly weaker Big Brother than last year, so I'm very pleased about that. From my conversations I've had, they love Channel 5. It is working. I'm always really up for hearing what the boss wants, what the bosses want, you know. My job is to, in a way, give them what they want in the right way. I think they want more of what they're getting, and probably skew a bit younger. Yeah, increase. I'd say just increase our share of youngs, because I don't want to sacrifice share for youngs.
But Viacom, you know, we're putting an investment into the channel, so you could very well have a lot more money to spend. And with sort of Viacom at the top, can you still see yourself as being the underdog? The channel being the underdog?
Well, I think we'll always have less money than the other PSBs. Yes. What we can do is share content with other Viacom channels. That moving forward, we'll work out the practicalities of that going forward. It won't all be right. It won't all work, but it's certainly worth trying. But I've also never been one for having lots of budget. I quite like the fact, in a way, I mean, you'd like a bit more, but if you just have lots of money, you just do stuff.
Yeah.
And what having limitations, and it makes us do, is to think more about what we're doing. You have to really be rigorous about, are we sure we want to do that project after that, over that project, you know? You can't just commission endless hours and then expect to keep growing. So it provides the rigor for us editorially, which I think is no bad thing.
Yeah. Okay, now, talking about commissions, I'm going to play a little game called Your Title or Mine.
Okay.
I'm going to go through them really quickly. I'm basically going to read you a title and you have to tell me whether it's one of your shows or not one of your shows, so true or false.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay.
You mean, will I recognise one of my own shows?
No, purely from the title alone.
Oh,
That's all
you mean
is.
is it suitable for Channel 5?
No, is it one of your shows that is previously broadcast on Channel 5?
Oh, okay,
Or is
fine.
it just a made-up title? Okay, so The Girl with 7 Mums.
Probably, yes, because we love doing those extraordinary people.
Yeah, that's true. Addicted to Childbirth.
Oh, probably, but it's a terrible title.
No, it's not one of yours.
Great.
Help, I was born into a sex cult.
Oh, God. Well, I wouldn't have commissioned it. I'm going to say no.
No, that's true. Yeah, you're correct. It's fake. 70 Stone and Almost Dead.
Oh, it's very us.
Yeah, it's true.
In fact, there's a follow-up to that one.
I accidentally married my sister.
Oh, that's a bit shit, no.
No, that's correct. Mummy's Little Murderer.
Brilliant title. Big hit for us last year.
Yeah. Con, Fleeced and Left for Broke.
Stunning title, absolutely. Made by Silver River.
Okay.
That was called something different. It was called, I can't remember what it was called. That's a great title. I love that title.
Okay, good. Pet Witness, Animals Who See Crime.
Oh, terrible idea, terrible title.
It's not one of yours.
How do you know if they see crime? They can't talk to you. They're pets.
Some animal lovers would say they can. Killed on Vacation.
No, a good idea, terrible title.
You're correct, it's not one of yours. Britain's Craziest Christmas Lights.
It's absolutely one of our shows.
You're correct. 16 and Richer Than You.
It's not one of our titles. It's not a very good title.
You're correct. Got Thin, Got Fat Again.
That's our title.
Yeah. Got Fit, Then Died.
Terrible title. But I quite like to have filmed it. No, it's not one of ours.
Correct. Holiday Love Rats Exposed.
Fantastic title of one of our shows.
Nice Family, Shame About the Kids.
That's a rip-off of Nice House, Shame About the Garden, which was, I did it when I was last at Channel 5, which was a brilliant title. It's a derivative title, so it's not ours.
I Lost Weight and Lost My Husband.
That's ours.
Correct. Well done. Well played in the game. Okay.
What does it tell you? It tells you that I like fat people. Fat people work.
Fat people work for you, clearly.
People, yeah.
Now, what is it that you need or most want from producers?
Do you know what I'd really like? I'd really like producers to really think about Channel 5. I think producers, if producers were doing my job, you know, actually, what would they do? I think it's quite a big ask, but I get a lot of stuff that is just so not right for Channel 5. I think we're fairly clear about who we are and where we're going and what works for us and what doesn't work for us. I'm always very happy to share, you know, ratings information and, you know, demographics and, you know, talk about, you know, what has worked or not worked. You know, I want what everybody else wants, what everybody else wants, which is noisy, punch through, stand out, must see, talk about television, ideally returnable, good, solid, well made, emotionally engaging television. It can be a one-off, it can be a two-part, it could be a three-part, it could be a 10 o'clock, a 9 o'clock, an 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
It could be an 11 o'clock. You just want things that you believe, that you just have to really believe the viewers will watch.
So what genres in that case are you looking for?
I don't have a list of genres. I have five commissioners who basically, between them, divvy up everything. I don't like to put them even into boxes, you know. We do specialist factual, we do documentaries, we do factual series, we do less lifestyle and less features because I just don't think it sits very well on our channel at the moment. But that doesn't mean to say that we shouldn't keep our eyes and ears open to those kind of shows. We do entertainment stuff.
Formats open to you?
I think I'm nervous of formats because I think the format has overtaken content and it's become about the format. But, you know, if you don't mention the word format, it's really simple. Is it a good idea? Do I believe people will watch it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say, oh, it's got a format in it, therefore I'm not going to commission it. But if it's sold on the format, it's likely to make me move away rather than move towards it.
We're still having people pitch on the app. Thank you. Quite a few of these are making me laugh quite a lot. We have Game of Phones.
What's that? What's the programme?
And we've got, we've got this one. Pull the Other One, which is a dating show for twins.
Okay. I might bring that to the Viacom table. That could...
Who came up with that one? Pull the Other One. Ah, well done. That's a good one. So other than pitching via the app, which the producer's doing today, what's the best way for producers to pitch to you?
Well, you ring up and you say, can I have a meeting with Ben?
Yeah.
You know, it's, or one of the controllers. The survey that's come out, I get so upset about these surveys because you know, we are just quite small, and we do have, like Michelle, for instance, that oversees 1,000 hours of content a year. 1,000 hours she has to sign off and view, as well as coming up with as well as having the meetings, as well as, you know. So we are kind of worked quite hard. But basically, you ring up and you say, can I have a meeting with Ben, or can I have a meeting with Michelle, or can I have a meeting with Greg, or can I have a meeting with Guy? And then you get a meeting, and then you know, your foot's in the door, the ball's in your court, and it's great. You know, what do you want from us? What do you want to tell us?
What's the worst pitch that someone has done to one of you guys? You've gone, oh my God, I can't believe you're even sitting in my office.
Well, you know, no, it's just, yeah, that happens occasionally, but I always think that they must be quite nervous. I'd be nervous if I was having a pitch to me. And so I try to be, look, I'm quite direct. I really don't like wasting people's time, but I do want them to go out feeling like, you know, it may not be a good idea for us, but, you know, there's no such thing as a bad idea. It's really just, you know, who is it for and when is it for? And timing is so important in these things, but when is the moment when you decide that you're going to do X, Y, and Z?
So what should they be doing?
Generally, I think the meetings might sometimes start off a bit badly with me because I'm usually a bit grumpy. But by the end of it, I've kind of warmed up a bit and they're a bit better at the end. I've only once had somebody storm out of a pitching meeting with me. Yeah.
Okay. And so should they bring a tape along?
No.
Should they?
They can bring what they like. I personally don't like a tape. I personally don't like a sizzle reel. I personally don't like pieces of paper which I can't read and then talk to them at the same... You know, you send it to me in advance and I'll read it and then we can talk about it. But I think it's really important that you understand that people like to be pitched to differently. Some people do like tapes, some people do like presentations, some people do like PowerPoint, and I think it's very hard for independents to understand the idiosyncrasies of the different controllers and how we like to engage. I like people who are quite confident, I like quite a robust discussion. I'm very happy for people to keep coming back and back and back, and I think, you know, you can email me as many times as you like, but I can't give you a paragraph on why it's not right. I can just go, no. You know, I will give you instant feedback, but there comes a point where I just have to keep it practical. And there are still people now emailing me from when I first came here. They still haven't got a commission, but it doesn't stop them emailing me directly saying, what about this, what about that, what about the other? And I think it's hard, really, really, really hard to be an independent, which is why I'm not an independent, because I would really struggle. You know, you keep getting that rejection, and I hats off to those ones who keep coming back and going, I want to keep knocking on that door, I want to keep trying to crack it.
You like the persistence.
I admire it hugely.
Well, let's take a look at a clip of a show where someone pitched it to you and they succeeded, and you mentioned very briefly, but you mentioned it earlier very briefly, but it's Special Needs Hotel. Let's take a look.
There's going to be no bigger programme, I don't think. There's going to be no bigger heart in a programme, I think.
And there was another broadcaster after Access for this, wasn't there?
I understand so, yeah.
Yeah. And so, why was it important for you to have it?
Well, we were prepared to not have it, but Michelle, who is the one who's commissioned it, is quite dogged and quite persuasive and works very hard to get what she thinks she should have, and she fought very hard for it, and she got it, and I'm delighted that she did. I think it's not a Channel 5 programme, and yet it is a Channel 5 programme. I think it's going to make people's hearts sing. It's such a brilliant idea. Basically, there's this hotel called Foxes where they do a sort of 3-year training course for children with special needs who are trained in working in hotels, and they run the hotel. I just think it's an amazing idea, and I'm really excited about it. I don't think it's us, and it's not about ratings. That's about us going, you know what, we're Channel 5, we've evolved, we can now, we're playing with the big boys. We do a raft of programmes that are not just tabloid titles and X, Y, and Z. We don't just do cars, trains, planes, boats, and whatever it is, and fishing or whatever. We also do real emotional intelligence and challenging programs.
Because I have to admit, when my producers first said to me that was a clip that we'd be running called Special Needs Hotel, I sort of did that, oh no, is it going to be really awkward? And actually realised it's a beautiful
Well,
programme.
it might be awkward sometimes.
No, but I
watched Big Brother last night, and it was so awkward I had to leave the room because there was a row between Gary and someone. I just thought, oh, I'm embarrassed. I can't watch it. So, I mean, it probably will be awkward at some point, and it won't appeal to everybody. But I just think it's such a... Its genius is in its simplicity, and at the very heart of it is this incredible idea. I don't know, I absolutely love it. I'm really excited about it. But it's so different to what we would normally do, and it's so different to what Channel 5 would be associated with, and that's what I'm pleased about. And that's all I really ask of people, is that they do see that Channel 5 is evolving, that we are really diversifying, that we are taking on some quite difficult subjects, you know, immigration, special needs, whatever it is, and doing them in a way that wouldn't have been done on Channel 5 before. Other people do it too. We're not, you know, we're not first in the game. We're not saying, oh, we're just amazing. But I think for Channel 5, it's quite an evolution.
Well, I'm going to take questions from the floor in a couple of minutes, so do keep thinking about them, and then you can direct them to Ben. And whilst that's happening, I'll just read another couple of suggestions that we've had. We've had another title called Born Frisky. No. No.
I think I just put a blanket ban on any pun off a Channel 4 programme, or indeed Channel 4 itself.
We also have no carbs before marbs.
What's marbs?
Marbella.
Oh, that's too much for me.
No? Yeah. OK. Right, I've given you a couple of minutes to think about it, so who's got some questions for Ben? We've got one right at the back up there, the gentleman in the navy blue blazer. And don't forget to let us know who you are, where you're from, as though we're on blind date or something, and then do your question.
Hi there, Peter White from Broadcast Magazine. Hi, Ben.
Hi.
I just wondered if you could talk to us a little bit about your relationship with Group M. It seems that, you know, a year ago, everything you commissioned went through Group M, and it seems that now all of it doesn't seem to be quite the same thing. I just wondered if you could tell producers a little bit about that relationship as it stands.
It's really simple. First of all, nobody's forced to work with Group M. For me, it is additional budget if I want to spend it with the right programme. I will talk with independent companies or whatever it is, and I will often say, because of our cash budget is less, you know what, do you want to talk to Group M and see if Group M would get behind this idea? Because if they will, that makes it easy. It keeps my cash for other things that Group M may not like, because Group M understandably have criteria that they attach to ideas that they want to support. So that's sort of how it works. So there's a lot of programmes that, you know, would not be right for Group M at all. I've always said, whether it's Group M or whether it's cash, if it's a good idea, we'll find a way to pay for it. But it does help me manage the money better if some things can go through Group M, and Group M are happy with that, and most importantly, the independent company are happy with that. Nobody is forced to work with Group M. It just wouldn't work. So that's sort of how it's a sort of an additional pot, and if I can dip into that pot as opposed to this pot, it keeps this pot for things that are, you know, more challenging that maybe Group M wouldn't be interested in. That's sort of how it works.
Do we have any producer questions? You're a producer question, perhaps? Yeah, I was asking you. Is yours a producer question?
Colin McKeown from LA Productions. You started your session, Ben, by saying you had a really good year, but you learned some really painful, you know, things along the way. I just wondered if you would, as a producer, would you like to share what those painful things were? Well,
I think you know what you learn is that when you do 10 episodes of Stand By Your Man, and it effectively tanks before it even, you know, gets off the ground, you kind of go, oh my God, I spent a lot of money on that, and I really believed in it, and it all made absolute sense to me, and things like that, you know. I think particularly in entertainment, I really have learned about the clarity of, I suppose the biggest lesson I've learned, apart from entertainment still doesn't work for us, is that if the only way I can not get cross is by making sure we have done every single thing we can in order to try and make that programme work. The times I get really angry, I mean, when I'm saying really angry, like, it's not like I go mad or anything, I don't hit people, but it's just like I'm cross with myself, is when I know that something like a promo is not right for that programme and we're not selling it the right way, and then the programme doesn't rate that well, I'm going, I should have said, change that promo. We're not pitching that program right, because we know that the commissioners particularly, they really know their programs. They work with the producers. They know why they've commissioned it. They know who it's aimed at. They know what the general thrust of it is. We all believe it will rate, or we all believe that it can resonate with the viewers.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it. And I think whether it's publicity or whether it's marketing or whether it's the title of a program, I haven't changed the title at the last minute, and I change titles right at the wire.
Yeah.
I keep having to tell myself, as long as you've done every single thing you can do, I can live with failure. What I can't bear is having failure or disappointment when I've not done everything that I could have done to have made it work. And I think we owe it. And I think some of the production companies probably get really fucked off with us, because we move things around in the schedule and we change titles and things. And all we're doing is trying to make everything punch above its weight and do better than it might otherwise. We are rigorous about protecting our programmes and trying to give them the best shot possible at working. Yeah.
Oh, I could talk to you all day, Ben, but I've got my producer Maria going, we've got to wrap up. So before you go and I say my thank yous, the two titles that I feel that you were most excited about was Pull the Other One, the dating show for twins, and also the UKIP's On the Block. So which one of those two?
Well, I'm gonna go for Pull the Other One, but I don't want it about twins, and I quite like the title.
Okay.
And I think as we move forward into the sort of Viacom, Comedy Central, MTV, I think it's quite a title that could possibly work on any one of those channels. It could be a comedy show, it could be a funny MTV show, it could possibly be a Channel 5 show, so I think I'll go with Pull the Other One.
Well, congratulations. And so no one else can steal your idea, if we just have your name. Sophie from Remedy Productions. Congratulations, Sophie. And there endeth our session. Thank you so much, Ben. I thoroughly enjoyed that. And also, I'd like to say thank you to you, the audience, also the festival organisers and the sponsors of the Controller Session broadcast. Enjoy the rest of your day.